Ooh, what's good, Commanders fans? Cut down day. It's cut down day eve. Cut down day is tomorrow. All teams have to cut the roster down to 53 players by 4 p.m. tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they make some moves or some trades or anything that before that. Other teams were releasing players yesterday, like Boston Scott got released. Joshua Kelly got released. Some notable names, not big names. And Juju Smith-Schuster just got signed this morning, so that's a wide receiver off the market. Not saying we were going to sign him anyway, but moves are starting to happen right now. So, all right, let's start with the offense here, guys. Let's cut to the chase. I got 25 on offense, 25 on defense. So we're starting with the offense. So offense, I got two quarterbacks. I've been saying that all my 53-man roster projections, I've stayed with two quarterbacks. I'm going to stay that way with Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota. Jeff Driscoll threw the interception last night that did not help his case to make the roster. And Sam Hartman is going to be on the practice squad since he's injured. And they might even put him on injured reserve. We'll see, and just stash him. But I think they could just cut him and he won't be claimed or anything like that. Unless it's the UFL team or XFL team. They already drafted him for next year or whatever. If things don't work out here, he doesn't get picked up, he can play with the XFL team. But I think he's going to be on the practice squad here. I think they want him on the roster. But Jeff Driscoll, the thing with Jeff Driscoll is, like, if they release him, will he be picked up? Will he be claimed? Will he be claimed by a different team? That's the only thing right there. But I would like to see him on the practice squad. I don't think he's a bad second string, third string guy. All right, let's get to the running backs here. This is where it gets a little dicey here. A lot of people are conflicted here, so clearly B-Rob, clearly Eckler. It's really between Michael Wiley and Jeremy McNichols. Michael Wiley had a good play, had a touchdown. Michael Wiley had a touchdown in the Jets game. He had a touchdown last night. So he had two touchdowns in the preseason. Had a couple nice runs, a couple nice catches, made some good plays. Looks explosive, can catch the ball in the backfield. He just does a lot of things where I think he can really help this team and be a change of pace back, just like Eckler is. So I think Michael Wiley should make the team. I think out of the two guys, he played better than Jeremy McNichols, and people said that Michael Wiley was the third best back in training camp as well. But I think since McNichols started the game last night, and he did play well, McNichols had a good game. This was his best game in the preseason. And he was with Adam Peters last year in San Fran for a couple games. I have him making a roster. So I have them keeping four guys at the running back position. B-Rob, Eckler, Michael Wiley, and Jeremy McNichols. Let's move on to tight end. Zach Ertz, Ben Sinnott, John Bates. Cole Turner basically cut himself last night by dropping two passes, had a holding penalty. He just did everything in his power to get released. If you wrote a book on how to get released, Cole Turner wrote it last night, basically. And he had a drop in the Dolphins joint practice where it ended up being an interception. That didn't help his case. And then he had a drop in the Dolphins game too, where McSorley threw it a little hard, where he got out of his break, but you still just got to catch the football. So Cole Turner's done. And it's unfortunate, man. Cole Turner was so talented, man, coming out of Nevada. The training camp, he was balling. Preseason last year with Sam Howell, he was balling. And then Bieniemy just didn't play him at all. It's just so odd. He's so tall, 6'6", 6'7". I think he will be claimed. I don't think we're going to get that's the one guy I don't think is going to be on the practice squad because I think teams like him. But at the same time, we go through this every year. Everyone's like, oh, they're not going to get claimed. And guys end up not getting claimed. We end up seeing them on a practice squad. So we'll see what happens with Cole. I wouldn't mind him on a practice squad as a practice tight end, but they may just stay with Yankoff for that practice squad tight end role. So three guys for the tight end. Wide receiver, this is where it gets interesting here too, man. Terry, of course, Alameda, of course, De'Ami Brown, Lou McCaffrey. Jameson Crowder's not a shoo-in. He's not, but he didn't play last night, so I have him locked in. That's my roster lock because I think he's the best punt returner on the team. They tried Davion Davis. They tried Alameda, who did a good job. And they tried Casimir Allen, who didn't really do much but fair catch the ball, which is fine. Not muffing a punt like he did last year. And then I have Martavis Bryant making the roster. That touchdown last night, the two pass interferences that he forced, the way that he blocked, like everything that they've been preaching, like the reason why they traded Jahan, or one of the reasons, is because he's not a good blocker. He's not physical. Martavis Bryant is the opposite. He's huge. He's a big fella. He's physical. He's strong. He's talking trash out there, talking trash on the pass interferences, big bodying, big boying guys on that touchdown catch. So Martavis Bryant's the sixth guy. I don't think it's necessary to really keep seven receivers. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the wide receiver group. I just don't think there's a lot of talent there. I think we're a bottom 5 wide receiver group in the league. And even with Jahan, I think we were probably a bottom 10 instead of bottom 5. Trading Jahan, to me, we're bottom 5. because you just don't know what you're gonna get from Diami and Alameda. But and then Luke's a rookie. I got Martavis Bryant making a roster. I think he earned it last night. And then Mitchell Tinsley, he didn't do enough. Him and Bryson Tremaine, if you want to group them together, they didn't do enough. Mitchell Tinsley was good though in the game. He had a good game, but the drop against the Dolphins, I think that sealed his fate. And then he just didn't light the world on fire like he did in that third preseason game against the Bengals last year. So that's why I had Mitchell Tinsley being released. He's going to get on the practice squad. I don't think he's going to be claimed or anything like that because he didn't have a good preseason or a standout preseason. Same thing with Bryson Tremaine. He can be on the practice squad. Davion Davis, they want to keep him on the practice squad as like a punt returner for the practice squad or whatever. Receiver, keep him on there too. Kaz Allen, put him on the practice squad because Cliff Kingsbury really likes him a lot. For whatever reason, they try to give him the football in space and use him as a running back, but he fumbled against the Dolphins. They use him as a receiver out the backfield. He made a catch. His body language didn't look good last night to me, honestly. I forgot to say that in my video last night. If people want to talk about body language, Kaz Allen didn't really look enthused or energetic out there, in my opinion, honestly. But they like him a lot. Cliff Kingsbury compared him to Deebo Samuel for whatever reason. But don't be surprised if Kaz Allen makes the roster. Don't be surprised. I don't have him on the roster. I don't think he should be on the roster. But don't be surprised if he's put on the roster. All right, quickly, let's shuffle through their offensive linemen. Cornelius Lucas, of course. Brandon Coleman. Allegretti is your starter, Biadasz starter, Cosme starter, Wiley starter. Michael Dieter is your backup. Ricky Stromberg is the backup, left guard or center. Positional flex there. Chris Paul, right guard, right tackle, positional flex. And I do have Trent Scott making a roster. Braden Daniels, former draft pick, fourth round, released, practice squad. Good Jones, released, possibly practice squad. And then Alex Taylor, released, maybe practice squad. We'll see. 10 offensive linemen for me. Defense, 25. Nine defensive linemen. Cleveland Farrell starter. John Allen starter. Deron Payne starter. Dorrance Armstrong starter. Jamin Davis makes the roster because even though he played a long time in the game last night, I have him making the roster because the Dolphins forced fumble. And he improved, throughout the preseason as a pass rusher. And they need that linebacker depth. With Jordan McGee, I think he's going to be on the PUP list or whatever. They're going to keep him on the roster and then put him on IR for like 4 games. They need the linebacker depth. So I don't think it's wise to cut Jamin. I think it's just unnecessary to really cut him. And Dante Fowler, they love him since he's from Dallas. And, he's had some good seasons in his career. Johnny Newton, people are saying he may be put on PUP. We got to put him on the roster first and then I think put him on PUP. Or IR for 4 games or something like that, but he's going to be on the roster. They're not going to put him on IR. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. Will he be ready? We'll see. And then John Ridgway he was a grown A man. He was a man amongst boys last night. He was a grown A man. He was big boying guys, pushing guys out the way last night. That left guard. So he's making a KJ Henry, that sack on Jacoby Brissett. I think that sealed the deal for him making the roster. And he had a good game. He had a good preseason. And but the one kind of surprise I guess I got is Fedarian Mathis being released. Fedarian Mathis had a good preseason. Like, don't get me wrong, he had a good preseason. He had a tip pass. I think he had 2 tip passes last night. He had a TFL. If not last night, I feel like he had a TFL or a really nice run stop. Look at the stats right here for Fedarian Mathis, what he did last night. No, he didn't have any tackles for loss, but he had 1 tackle and he had a tip pass, and he was just disruptive. So I don't have him making a roster. And a team will claim him, I think, just because of his draft status, him being a second-round pick. I do think a team will claim him because he had a good preseason, but I don't have him making a roster. That's like my one surprise. Now, if they wanted to, because they got 9 guys, maybe they could keep Mathis and then release Stromberg. It's really between those 2 guys. I don't have John Baptiste making a roster, even though he was drafted by the team. By this regime, I have him on a practice squad, and Andre Jones, I just have him straight up cut. And probably not making a roster. Potato, I do like him. I think he should be on the practice squad. That Jets game, he played well. Didn't really see him make big plays last night, but I think he should be on the practice squad. But Fedarian Mathis, some people are speculating he may be traded, but I don't really see any value for him. Maybe a 7th-round pick, if that. But and he was overdrafted. Another Ron Rivera draft pick where he was just overdrafted, and they really didn't need a defensive tackle at the time. But I don't have him making a roster, and I could be wrong there. That's the one thing I question about my 50. Everything else I'm pretty confident in, for the most part. Linebackers pretty easy. Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Michael Walker, Anthony Pittman gets cut. Jordan McGee makes the roster, and then they put him on injury reserve for about 4 games. Cornerback, Emmanuel Forbes, Mikey Sainristil, Michael Davis, Noah I, even though he was awful last night. Ben St. Juste, even though he got cooked by River Craft. Castro Fields makes the roster, in my opinion. And then Chiggy gets cut. He had the pass interference last night, but he was a high priority UDFA, so he will be on the practice squad. James Pierre released. Whiteside released, and then the guy who got the interception, Riverside or something like that. I have him being released as well, but not making the roster in any way. Red Wine, that's his name. Red Wine. He had a solid game last night. He should have got the interception, but Chiggy had the pass interference. And then safety, Quan Martin, Jeremy Reeves, all pro. He's going to make the roster. Some people are speculating he's going to be released. I don't think so. I don't think it would be wise to do that because you need him for special teams. Jeremy Chin, starter. Quan Martin, starter. Tyler Owens. Everybody loves Tyler Owens. He's probably the biggest name from the training camp, or just like kind of like the fan favorite. The athletic freak. Good special teams play. Good effort. Save the tackle. The touchdown against the Dolphins. Percy Butler's going to make the roster. He did not suit up last night. Dominique Hampton's going to make the roster. I have Derek Forrest being released. That's like the biggest name, and he's going to be claimed because he put good tape out in 2022 where he was, him and Cam Crow had a good season. So people know who he is. So since he doesn't have a name like a national media name, but teams know who he is. Like scouts, coaches, they seen he's made impactful plays. Like he forced a fumble on Jonathan Taylor. That was legit. Got the interception on, what was it, Trevor Lawrence? He got an interception in that game. Big hit on Travis Etienne. So that 2022 season put him on a map to the point where coaches know about him. Like, they're not just going to let Derek Forrest stay on waivers and whatnot, and we bring him on a practice. Like, that's not happening with Derek Forrest, even after the injuries that happened to him last year. And then cut and dry with special teams. Cade York didn't really have to make any crazy kicks. Like, nothing was over 39 yards or 35 yards. So he had an easy night last night, which I wanted to see him get tested. And then Tressway, all-pro, and then Tyler Ott is making a roster. So that is my 53-man roster, guys. You guys let me know what you guys think. Any disagreements? I think the most that people are going to disagree with me is probably Fedarian Mathis, and then Driscoll. A lot of people always comment and say Driscoll should make the roster, and I just don't see them keeping three guys. I think they stay at two quarterbacks so they can keep Wiley on there and McNichols because they like both those guys, and then they may fool around and keep a seventh receiver, but I feel like they want to bring in Martavis Bryant and actually have him on the roster. I feel like after last night, they want to keep him on the roster. So, all right, you guys let me know what you guys think. Held Commanders, as always. Peace.